or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Debbie, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the March 17th issues of the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our first article today, Cologne set for new parole hearing. Victim advocate says the notorious murderer hasn't reformed. Another parole hearing is looming for Angel Cologne. Cologne, age 52, is serving a 25-year-to-life sentence for the notorious February 25, 1997 rape and murder of Samantha Nicole Zaladar, who had turned 7 years old just 2 weeks before. A victim advocate and friend of the Zaladar family is asking that people voice their objections to the parole board, asking that Cologne never be paroled. Samantha, she's got my heart, said Ashley, whose last name is being withheld. I think about her all the time. She shaped my life. She changed it forever. Cologne sexually assaulted Samantha and smothered her to death at her mother's trailer home in Hermitage. He buried her in a shallow grave in a cornfield about 1,000 yards from the residence. Samantha's mother, Rachel Straw, reported her missing, touching off a massive search that lasted for nearly 3 months. Her body was found May 23rd of that year, and Cologne was arrested and charged with capital murder. Straw was charged with hindering prosecution to lying to protect Cologne through though she and Cologne denied that she knew what happened to her daughter. Cologne ultimately took a plea deal and wouldn't even get up in court and say what he did, Ashley continued. He's incarcerated at Clinton Correctional Facility, the maximum security prison in Danmora. Cologne was denied parole in 2022 and 2024, and his next hearing is in May. I know the case, I'm familiar with it, and I can spot his lies a mile away in his parole hearings, says Ashley, who has followed the case in Cologne's previous parole hearings in exacting detail. Though Cologne is notorious and his crime horrific, Ashley fears any chance he could be released. She says prisons are closing, he has an elderly mother, and those factors worry her, that he'll figure out what he has to say to secure parole. I really get nervous about it, Ashley said. I hate to keep talking about him, and I feel like I'm always talking about him and putting the focus on him when it should be about Samantha. But I have to get people interested and educated and reading about him to find out who he really is. Cologne's charges originally included aggravated sexual abuse, which was dropped when he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder to avoid facing the death penalty. That means he's not pardon me while I get to the next page. The sex offender registry, and few people would know what he looks like now, nearly 30 years after the rape and murder. He could be doing sheetrocking in your house or spackling, and you have a 4-year-old daughter, and Ashley said, he's not admitting being attracted to children, and he's there. Ashley wants to take no chances and asks people to voice their objections to the parole board by April. To send a letter to the parole board, you have to go to the https://docs.ny.gov/form letters in support or opposition. Enter name Angel Ramon Cologne, DIN 98B1987. Subject, opposition of parole. Our next article comes from the Conservation Aces. This article is written by Saul Hauser and Mark Gutman. A Batavia calf and crop operation is the 2025 Genesee County Conservation Farm of the Year. Robert and Michelle Wood of Forest Lawn Farms were the recipients of this year's accolades awarded by the Genesee County Soil and Water Conservation District Saturday. The district commended the Woods for 43 years of conservation practices, including cover crops, barnyard water management systems, milkhouse waste management systems, silage, leachate storage, and treatment and preventing animals from entering a nearby stream. The Woods have been actively involved in 4-H and the Genesee County Fair, and Robert Wood served on the county committee for the Farm Service Agency, the Dairy Advisory Committee for Cornell Cooperative Extension, and the nominating committee for Upstate Niagara Cooperative. Established in 1978 as a dairy farm, Forest Lawn now raises calves and produces forage and grain crops on about 415 acres in the Black Creek watershed. It just means many years of hard work and being loyal to agriculture in our county and the practices that Soil and Water has helped us to do. We've really appreciated their help, Robert Woods said Saturday night. This has been very thoughtful. It's a big honor. The Conservation Farm of the Year Award was established in 1959 as a way to acknowledge farmers who demonstrate a long-term commitment to sustainable conservation practices, lead by example, and implement effective farm conservation best management practices, according to the Genesee County Soil and Water Conservation District. The award's 2024 winner was Edmund Acres, LLC, a crop farm in Leroy, while 2023's winners was the Kupacha Family Farm, a dairy and beef operation in Bethany. The Woods Award came with praise from area officials, including official proclamations presented by Assemblyman Steve Hawley from Batavia, State Senator George Borrello from Sunset Bay. These are great people doing great things with our soil, Hawley says. They've been farming, not just they, but generations have farmed for years. Our next article, gusty winds pummel the Glow area. High winds, power outages, and yo-yo temperatures. Chaotic weather has kept life exciting for the Glow region since Friday amid a rolling series of wind advisories, winter weather advisories, and high wind warnings. More unsettled weather may be on its way, according to the National Weather Service in Buffalo. Nearly 500 Glow region utility customers were without power about noon on Saturday as high winds lashed the region. The winds blew over 2 utility poles in Target Plaza across from Home Depot early Saturday morning on Veterans Memorial Drive in Batavia. Power was lost to buildings such as the ESL Bank, the building that houses Five Guys, and also the building that houses Sally Beauty Supply. Other businesses may have been affected, but could have been running on standby generators for power, according to the National Grid representatives on the scene. The greatest number of outages included NYSEG customers in Wyoming County, where 291 customers, including 285 in the town of Java, were affected. National Grid reported 129 customers were without power in 8 communities across Genesee County, including 82 in Pavilion. A high wind warning was in effect until 11 a.m. Saturday for Genesee, Orleans, and Wyoming counties. The winds had mostly died down by Sunday morning, but picked up again that evening as a series of rolling wind advisories were issued across western New York. Numerous downed power lines were reported throughout the night, affecting the entire region. In Livingston County, over 500 customers lost power at some point between Sunday night and Monday. A downed tree and wires has closed traffic in both directions between the town of Geneseo and the town of Groveland line as of 5:40 a.m. After strong winds Friday and Saturday, National Grid crews remained in the field upstate completing repairs Sunday night. The early weekend storms caused more than 27,000 outages across the region, with damage concentrated primarily in western New York. Dozens of poles and transformers were replaced in response. Crews were effectively pre-staged to expedite repairs, resulting in faster, safe restoration of services, says a National Grid press release Sunday. Some of our most volatile storms happen during this time of year as we alternate between the remnants of winter and between the remnants of winter, and the advance of warmer spring-like weather, says Tom Golzelski, National Grid's lead director of electric operations. Having one severe weather event immediately followed another is not ideal, but our crews are ready to restore service quickly and safely should we experience outages, Golzelski said. A series of wind and winter weather advisories was slated to remain in effect through Tuesday morning in the GLOW region. A winter weather advisory was set to be in effect until 4 a.m. Tuesday in Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming counties, according to the National Weather Service. Total snow accumulations of 2 to 5 inches are expected, with the greatest totals across the higher terrain. Winds gusting as high as 50 miles an hour in Genesee, Orleans, and Wyoming counties, and as high as 45 miles an hour in Livingston County, were expected to produce blowing and drifting snow overnight. Drivers were advised to plan on snow-covered and slippery road conditions. Areas of blowing snow were expected to significantly reduce visibility. A rapid drop in temperatures Monday evening was expected to produce very icy conditions on untreated roads, sidewalks, and parking lots. The National Weather Service discussion as of Monday called for additional accumulations of a spotty few inches through Tuesday across the higher terrain of the western southern tier. Winds will remain gusty through Tuesday with blowing and drifting snow in lake effect areas, according to the NWS. A wind advisory was set to remain in effect until 11 a.m. Tuesday in Genesee, Orleans, Wyoming, Niagara, Monroe, and northern Erie counties. It was slated to end 8 a.m. Tuesday in Livingston and Steuben counties. Our next article comes from the Nation and the World section. Iran strikes UAE oil hub. This article is written by Omar Tamo and Lian El Rashdan. Iran launched fresh attacks across the Persian Gulf, disrupting shipments at a key United Arab Emirates oil hub and denying U.S. President Donald Trump's assertion that it's seeking ceasefire talks. The UAE and Saudi Arabia reported drone and missile attacks overnight into Monday. Dubai temporarily halted flights at its main airport and said some Emirates departures would be canceled because of a fire at a fuel tank that it said was caused by an Iranian drone. The UAE oil export terminal of Fujairah was hit again on Monday after a strike on Saturday that forced the suspension of some shipments for about a day. Israel carried out more airstrikes on infrastructure in the Islamic Republic capital, Tehran, after a barrage of missiles targeting the Jewish state. The attacks show that there's no let-up in the fighting that began with the U.S.-Israeli alliance bombing of Iran on February 28th. The Strait of Hormuz, a transit point for about a fifth of the world's oil, remains effectively closed, causing a disruption to global energy supplies that's doubled that of the Suez Crisis of 1956, according to Morgan Stanley. Trump, for the first time, called on world powers, including France, the UK, Japan, and China, to help the U.S. reopen the waterway by sending warships to provide escorts to commercial vessels. None of the countries have so far said that they're willing to do that. Oil prices rose again. Brent climbed 0.5% as of 2:48 p.m. in Dubai to move to more than $103 per barrel, a move that will heap more pressure on Trump as U.S. gasoline prices jump. Dubai stocks slid into bear market territory, having dropped 21% from a February high. Trump said over the weekend that Iran is ready to make a deal to end the war, but the U.S. wants better terms, including a commitment by Tehran to abandon nuclear activities. Iran wants to make a deal, and I don't want to make it because the terms aren't good enough yet, he said. Yet Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi denied seeking talks or a ceasefire with the U.S. The reason we say we do not want a ceasefire is not because we are seeking war, but because this time this war must end in such a way that our enemies never again think of repeating those attacks. Aragchi said at a media briefing on Monday. I think they have learned a good lesson and understood what kind of nation they are dealing with. Japan, which rarely wants to appear out of lockstep with the U.S., said through a senior official that efforts to escort ships through Hormuz face high hurdles. Australia ruled out sending warships. While China hasn't made any direct response to Trump's request, the state-run Global Times dismissed the idea as a U.S. attempt to spread the risk of a war that Washington started and can't finish. Trump threatened to delay his summit with Xi Jinping if Beijing doesn't help secure the strait. European Union foreign ministers will discuss the idea of expanding the bloc's SPD's naval mission from the Red Sea to the Strait of Hormuz when they meet Monday, though officials caution that no decisions are imminent. The military operation to secure shipping in the Red Sea has not been effective so far, German Foreign Minister Johann Wadepool told Ard Television on Sunday, adding that Berlin was very skeptical about any expansion of the naval mission. The Pentagon estimates the war, which the U.S. official says cost the countries $11.3 billion in the first 6 days alone, would take 4 to 6 weeks, says Kevin Hassett, head of the White House National Economic Council. Underscoring the domestic pressure on Trump, Hassett was among several administration officials on Sunday asking Americans for patience as the global oil prices rise. The conflict has left almost 4,000 people dead across the region, according to tolls from governments and non-governmental organizations. The U.S.-based human rights activist news agency said more than 3,000 people died in the past 2 weeks in Iran. Lebanon said 850 people were killed since Israel began attacking the Iran-aligned Hezbollah militia in the country. Dozens have died across the Gulf and in Israel, while the U.S. has lost 13 service members. The U.S. hit military sites over the weekend on Kharg Island, from which Iran exports almost all of its oil. In announcing the strike, Trump said military facilities there have been obliterated, adding that he chose not to hit oil infrastructure for reasons of decency. He threatened to do so should Iran do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said that even though Iran's military was already destroyed 100%, it was easy for Tehran to continue threatening ships with drones, mines, and short-range missiles. The U.S., he said, will be bombing the hell out of Iran's shoreline to try to counter that. There have been 16 reported attacks on vessels in and around Hormuz since the war began, according to the UK Maritime Trade Operations. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our next article may affect you if you're traveling for the Easter holiday. Airport security lines get longer, by Dave Goldener. Airport security lines are getting longer and longer as the Department of Homeland Security government shutdown stretches on and screeners working without paychecks call in sick or quit altogether. Viral clips on social media show travelers lining up in pre-dawn darkness out the doors of terminals, into parking lots and traffic ramps at popular spring break hop spots like Atlanta, Austin, Texas, and South Florida. The Transportation Safety Administration on Monday said mid-morning wait times were a relatively modest 15 to 30 minutes at checkpoints at John F. Kennedy's International Airport in Newark Liberty, while LaGuardia was a bit less at 15 minutes or less. But those numbers can vary from terminal to terminal, and passengers are being warned to show up at least 2.5 hours before their flights. The situation is likely to keep getting worse in coming days, with few signs of serious talks in Washington, D.C. to reach a compromise and end the partial shutdown that has cut funding to the Transportation Safety Administration and other DHS agencies. Democrats say that they are willing to fund TSA and other DHS agencies, but are demanding reforms to President Trump's immigration crackdown before they release money for immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol that are spearheading the mass deportation campaign. Trump and his Republican allies are insisting that Democrats agree to fund the entire DHS or TSA will remain in shutdown mode. Outgoing DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, who was recently fired by Trump but is still serving until her successor is confirmed, pointed the finger at Democrats. Democrats continue to play political games while TSA officers and travelers pay the highest price, Noem tweeted. Airport screeners are considered a key pressure point in the standoff because they are considered essential workers and are supposed to continue working in a shutdown even though they would not get paid until the government fully reopens. Millions of Americans quickly start to share in the pain if TSA workers fail to show up for work in large numbers. Unlike the previous shutdowns, like the record-setting 41-day closure late last year, this one only affects DHS agencies. That means that other federal government services, like air traffic controllers, who are paid by the Department of Transportation, are functioning normally. There is no real sign of any deal to end the pain. The Senate, where a bipartisan 60 votes are needed to pass most legislation, has reportedly refused to pass a spending package. Instead of focusing on a possible compromise, Republicans plan to spend most of this week and possible next week seeking to push through Trump's SAVE Act, which aims to put more restrictions on voting by demanding voters produce a U.S. passport or birth certificate with their legal name to cast their ballot. Our next article, Michigan shooter's brother was Hezbollah commander. The FBI says a synagogue attack was targeted. This article is written by Kevin Hardy. The brother of the man who carried out Thursday's attack at a West Bloomfield Township synagogue was a Hezbollah commander killed in an Israeli airstrike days earlier, the Israel Defense Forces say Sunday. The IDF tweeted a post on X that identified the commander as Ibrahim Mohammed Ghazali, saying he managed weapons organizations in a specialized branch of Hezbollah's Badir unit, which it said has launched hundreds of rockets towards Israeli civilians during the war. The post said that Ibrahim Ghazali was killed last week in an Israeli Air Force strike on a Hezbollah military structure. Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Mohammed Ghazali was responsible for managing weapons operations within a specialized branch of the Badir unit, IDF said in the post. The unit is responsible for launching hundreds of rockets towards Israeli citizens throughout the war. His brother, Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, carried out the terror attack in Michigan this past Thursday. Ibrahim was eliminated in an IAF strike on a Hezbollah military structure last week. In Michigan, authorities have identified the attacker of Temple Israel in West Bloomfield Township as Ayman Ghazali, age 41, of Dearborn Heights. Ghazali is accused of driving a truck into Temple Israel just after noon Thursday and opening fire before exchanging gunfire with security guards, according to the FBI. Two sources briefed on the investigation also told the Detroit News that Ayman Ghazali had relatives killed in a recent military strike in the country in Lebanon. According to the Associated Press, an Israeli airstrike on March 5th killed two of Ghazali's brothers, Ibrahim and Qasim Ghazali, along with two of Ibrahim's children, while Ibrahim's wife was seriously wounded. A local official in the Lebanese village of Mashgahara told the AP the family was gathered for the Ramadan fast-breaking meal when the strike occurred. Israeli authorities had warned residents in Beirut and surrounding areas to evacuate ahead of airstrikes after Hezbollah fired rockets into Israel, according to Reuters. What U.S. authorities have said about Temple Israel-Hezbollah connection. U.S. officials have not publicly confirmed that any of Ghazali's relatives were affiliated with Hezbollah or that the Michigan attack was connected to an international terrorist organization. Federal investigators are continuing to examine Ghazali's background and potential motivations. FBI investigators said that they are treating what happened at Temple Israel as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. Asked if Ghazali's family members were members of the terrorist group Hezbollah, FBI Detroit Field Office Specialist Agent in Charge Jennifer Runyon said Friday that she was aware of that possibility. That is part of our own investigation at this time, Runyon said. Ghazali, a native of Lebanon who worked at a restaurant in Dearborn Heights, entered the United States through Detroit in May 2011 on an immigrant visa as the spouse of a U.S. citizen, according to the Department of Homeland Security. He applied for naturalization in October 2015 and became a U.S. citizen in February 2016. He finalized a divorce in March of 2025. Our next article An Alexander doctor has earned board accreditations by Michael Pettinella. Experience matters. For the past 15 years, including the last 10 as medical director of UConnect Care, Dr. Matthew Furness has worked in the addiction field. He has been on the front lines, plainly speaking, in the fight to help people struggle with substance use disorder. Recently, Furness' experience was recognized by the medical board, which granted the Alexander resident his board accreditation for addiction medicine. UConnect Care Chief Executive Officer Kathy Hodgkins said that one of the agency's greatest strengths is Furness' leadership and clinical experience. Dr. Furness' depth of knowledge and commitment to the science of addiction treatment ensure that the individuals and families we serve receive the highest standard of medical care available today, she said. This is quite an honor for him and a well-deserved one at that. Furness, who works part-time at UConnect Care, in addition to his nearly full-time primary care employment at Oak Orchard Health, said he sees several hundred people at UConnect Care when considering the agency's methadone clinic, outpatient facility, detoxification center, and residential programs. He said that the knowledge gained in the field was the key to the addiction accreditation. In 2011, he received board certification in family medicine, which was completed in residency at the Department of Family Medicine in Rochester. Several years ago, they established a new board certification for addiction medicine, similar to any other medical specialty that is out there, he said. There are two ways that you can obtain this. One is a fellowship training and sit for the boards thereafter. That's not what I ended up doing. Because I had worked in the field for so long, they essentially count your experience in the field, and you don't need to do a fellowship. Then I sat for the exam last fall and found out after the new year that I got certified. Furness said that the addiction accreditation provides, for lack of a better term, extra validation for what we're doing here. We've been doing it for a while, but having the opportunity for the board to approve my experience and the scope of the work here and sit for the exam puts us in line with the national standards. Hodgkins agrees, adding that Dr. Furness brings a state-of-the-art approach to alcohol and substance abuse disorder treatment. By utilizing the latest evidence-based medications for addiction treatment, he helps reduce cravings, stabilize recovery, and improve long-term outcomes for our patients, she said. Medication-assisted treatment, when guided by a specialist like Dr. Furness, becomes a powerful tool that supports both physical healing and sustained recovery. Furness said it has been a challenge keeping up with the more powerful drugs and developing specific treatment plans. When I first started, it was pills and heroin, opioid family drugs, he said. Since then, we've seen the rise of fentanyl and different variations of that. More recently, we've seen combinations with xylene, a type of tranquilizer that causes excessive sedation and contributes to wounds and does not reverse with Narcan like your opioids do. He said he continues to prescribe primary medications for opioid addiction, methadone and Suboxone, while adding newer medications such as Lucimira, which is often used to detox to help with opioid withdrawal symptoms. Hodgkins says the UConnect Care, with offices in Genesee and Orleans counties, is fortunate to have a doctor with a patient-centered philosophy. Dr. Fernandez understands that every person's journey with addiction is different. Rather than taking a one-size-fits-all approach, he works closely with each individual to develop a personalized treatment plan that reflects their medical needs, personal goals, and life circumstances, she said. This thoughtful and compassionate approach helps build trust and empowers our patients to actively participate in their own recovery. Bernays, a graduate of Pavilion Central High School, graduated from the University of Buffalo Medical School in 2008. He resides in Alexander with his wife and 4 children. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our founding father, Patrick Henry, says, "Secure the sunshine. The liberties of people never were, nor ever will be secure when the transactions of their rulers may be concealed from them." Sunshine Week is a national initiative to promote a dialogue about the importance of open government and the freedom of information. The New York News Publishers Association and its members support the New York's freedom of law, information law, and opens meeting law, and will continue to educate you on the public's right to know. Moving along, under local news, an ex-Yankees minor league confident new training facility will be a hit with local youth, by Mike Pittinella. Mike Pitta, or could be Pita, a former professional baseball player, is uniquely familiar with the finer points of hitting. He believes that downtown Batavia will prove to be the sweet spot for his baseball and softball training facility. Pita and his wife, Leroy native Alexa Higgins, opened the Armory baseball and softball on Monday at 216 East Main Street, Suite 35, leasing a 35-square-foot space from Chaz Mancuso and Sons. The Batavia location complements the couple's recent purchase of the Next Pro training site on Lyell Avenue in Rochester. Transactions made to fulfill Peter's quest to create the kind of training environment I experienced playing Division I baseball, professional baseball, and coaching at the professional level. A Florida native, the 28-year-old Pita said his dreams as a child was to become a Major League Baseball player. He pursued that goal through high school and college, earning All-American honors at Virginia Military Institute, where he recorded a career .359 batting average with 32 home runs and 116 RBIs in 150 games. These lofty numbers resulted in Pita, an outfielder and second baseman, being selected by the New York Yankees organization in the 12th round of the 2018 draft following his junior year. He went on to spend 6 seasons in the Yankees minor league system, reaching AAA for 67 games in 2021-2022. Injuries factored into Pita falling short of his goal of making the big leagues, and he was released in 2023. The 5'8", 185-pound righty went on to play for the Lincoln Salt Dogs in the American Association in 2024, and then served as a hitting coach for the Florida Marlins in 2025. Western New York has talents. Pita is working towards an online business and economics degree through the University of Alabama. He said he is focused on becoming a successful business person and has faith that it will happen by sharing his baseball experience and acumen to help young people in the Genesee region and beyond reach their full potential. Western New York has the talent. We built the Armory to help develop it, he said. We're offering a place built around development, structure, and accountability. PETA's road to Genesee and Monroe counties can be traced back to meeting Alexa while she was a student at the University of Tampa and he was participating in spring training for the Class A Tampa Tarpons. We met in 2019 while she was in college and we started dating, he said. The only connection I have to Genesee County really is through her and her family who grew up in Leroy. The couple was married in October 2022 and live in Leroy. Alexa has two brothers, Jake, a member of the Genesee Community College baseball team, and Ryan, who also played at GCC before transferring to Brockport State. Their parents, Mark and Leslie, continue to live in Leroy. PETA says that the Armory is offering separate programs for youth, grades 3 through 7, and high school students, grades 8 through 12. Our youth hitting group is designed to build confident, powerful, and fundamentally sound hitters through a structured, developmental-focused training environment. Athletes receive high-quality coaching that emphasizes bat speed, swing efficiency, posture, and path, load and unload mechanisms, and smart swing decisions, he said. Each session blends drill-based skill work with competitive training to keep players engaged while reinforcing game-ready habits. This program is ideal for young athletes looking to develop proper mechanics early, gain consistency at the plate, and build confidence in a fun, high-energy group setting. The youth group features semi-private hitting groups meeting twice a week for 90 minutes each time and is priced at $300 per month per person. PETA said that the high school group is built for committed athletes who want to make real gains at the plate through high-intent performance-based training, focusing on back speed development, swing efficiency, posture and path, load and unload sequencing, pitch recognition, and disciplined swing techniques. Each session blends targeted drill work with competitive game-like environments to help athletes transfer cage gains directly into game performance. This program is ideal for players preparing for varsity roles, showcases, and the next level, offering structure, accountability, and a high-performance training environment. The high school group also features semi-private hitting groups that meet 3 times a week for 90 minutes each time and is priced at $450 a month per person. The Armory is also is extending a trial membership for $25 per session for those wishing to try out the facility before making a monthly commitment. 3 area residents will work at the Armory. They are Trent Wesserman, an assistant coach at GCC, Oakfield native Hannah LeGroux, a former collegiate softball player who will coordinate the softball program, and Tyler Stack of Webster, who played at Monroe Community College. PETA said he set up the curriculum based on what he experienced and what he learned during his time with the Yankees organization. What we're offering is even more detailed, he said. The facilities that I worked out in growing up kind of had the group-based memberships and stuff like that. We were training all as a group and competing with each other. But in my off seasons down in Florida, the gym that I worked at, they had cages where you could hit. It had a chiropractic practice in it and had the mobility. They had the gym, the training, so you're getting all of it in one package. So we want to offer a premier place for these guys and girls to come and train and get everything that they need. The Armory in Batavia includes 2 batting cages, pitching mounds, and a large turf area for fielding. The Rochester location is larger, at 6,500 square feet, and includes 5 retractable batting cages, 3 portable pro mounds, a 135-foot-long toss tunnel, and a configuration to accommodate live at-bat sessions. It also will feature a full-time strength coach and an on-call physical therapist. For more information, you can check out www.armorybaseballsoftball.com. Our next article, information sought in vehicle break-ins. The village police are investigating a series of vehicle break-ins Saturday night on Needham Street. Valuables and cash were stolen from unlocked vehicles, Perry Police said. Police are reminding residents that crimes of opportunity are often preventable. They recommend that people follow a 9 p.m. routine, including remove all valuables, including wallets, electronics, tools, and spare change, lock your doors, close all windows and sunroofs, turn on exterior porch or motion-sensored lights. Police are currently seeking information regarding a person observed multiple times between 1:30 and 4:40 a.m. on South Federal Street. Those with information who live in the area of Needham and South Federal Streets and have surveillance footage from Saturday night that may assist the investigation are asked to call 585-786-8989. People can also send anonymous tips via the Perry Police Department Facebook page. Next, Extravaganza is Saturday in Varysburg. The 4th annual Easter Extravaganza will be hosted Saturday by the Varysburg Fire Department Auxiliary. The family event will start at 10 a.m. at the Varysburg Fire Hall on Route 20A. It will feature the Easter Bunny, children's crafts, games, raffles, and light refreshments. The Haxton Library is seeking trustee petitions. Haxton Memorial Public Library is accepting petitions for a Board of Trustees seat with a 5-year term. Petitions are available in the library or download a copy at www.haxtonlibrary.org. Petitions are due April 20th and can be turned into the library. The Village of Wyoming has canceled 4 upcoming budget meetings. They include March 18th, the 24th, the 31st, along with April 7th. Our next article comes from grants available for New York farmers markets. Farm Credit East is accepting applications for its farmer market grant program. The annual program provides small grants to Northeast farmers markets to support their promotion and development efforts. Interested farmers markets may apply through April 15th. The more than 1,600 farmer markets across the region provide Northeast producers an important channel to market and sell their products while connecting with consumers in rural and urban communities. Farm Credit East officials said in a news release, many farmers markets are located in urban centers, providing underserved communities access to fresh food. The grant funding is intended to help farmers market efforts to support participating farmers markets, complete market enhancements, conduct marketing efforts, and/or host programs that support disadvantaged communities or improve food access. Any farmers market located within Farm Credit East 8 state territories, which includes New York, is eligible to apply. Grants up to $500 are available, and special consideration will be given to first-time applicants and markets supporting underserved communities with limited access to fresh local food. Applications will be reviewed and awarded on a rolling basis. Deadline to apply is 4 p.m. April 15th. Moving along, who won big and who made history at this year's Oscars? This article is written by Moira McDonald. The 98th Annual Academy Awards Sunday night was both predictable and surprising in the best of ways. A lot of us predicted that the evening's top honors would be a toss-up between Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another and Ryan Coogler's Sinners, and indeed, that's exactly what happened. One Battle After Another, a thrilling gonzo tale of a former revolutionary in search of his kidnapped daughter, came out on top with 6 awards, including Best Picture. But Sinners, a gloriously atmospheric period horror musical, how often do those come around, had a good night too, winning 4 Oscars. Anderson, who had been previously nominated 11 times but never won, broke his streak with multiple Oscars, winning for Best Director, an adapted screenplay, in addition to Best Picture. I'm so happy to call the movies home, he said. The film, he said in his screenplay acceptance speech, was written for his children to say sorry for the housekeeping mess that we left in this world we're handing off to them, but also with the encouragement that they will be the generation that hopefully brings us some common sense and decency. One Battle After Another also won for Best Supporting Actor, Sean Penn, who wasn't present, film editing, and casting. Sinners' 4 awards included Best Score, Cinematography, Original Screenplay, and an unusually hard-to-call Best Actor race won by Michael B. Jordan for playing twin brothers Smoke and Stack. In a gracious and slightly rattled acceptance speech, he gave thanks to his family, to Coogler, You gave me the opportunity and the space to be seen and acknowledge previous black winners in the acting category, expressing the honor of being among those giants amongst my ancestors. In what was seen as the only major award of the night that was a foregone conclusion, Jessie Buckley won Best Actress for playing a grieving young mother in Hamnet. At the podium, she noted that her entire Irish family was in the room and that it was Mother's Day in the United Kingdom. I would like to dedicate this, she said of her award, to the beautiful chaos of a mother's heart. The winners, however, weren't the only emotional highlight of the evening. A particularly moving in memoriam segment began with Billy Crystal speaking of his close friend Rob Reiner, whose films, Crystal said, were about what we aspire to be. His speech was followed by a poignant, silent lineup on stage of actors who appeared in Reiner's films, several looking tearful. Reiner and his wife Michelle were tragically killed in December. Their son Nick Reiner has been charged with their deaths. Rachel McAdams gave a moving tribute to several leading ladies lost this year: Claudia Cardinale, Diane Ladd, Catherine O'Hara, and especially her co-star in 2 films, Diane Keaton, a legend with no end. The segment ended with Barbra Streisand speaking about her friend and co-star Robert Redford, an intelligent cowboy who blazed his own trail, and singing a brief verse from The Way We Were. Her voice is no longer the powerhouse it once was, but it just made the moment all the more moving, a gentle reminder of the passage of time. It was a night that saw the awards spread out among multiple films. Amy Madigan, 40 years after her previous Oscar nomination, won Best Supporting Actress for Weapons and gave a charmingly scattered speech in which she thanked her husband, actor Ed Harris, who's been with me forever, and that's a long-ass time. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein swept the design categories, winning for costume design, production design, and makeup hairstyling. Box office hit Avatar: Fire and Ash won the Best Visual Effects. Sentimental Value, despite losing most of its 9 nominations, took the Best International Feature. K-pop Demon Hunters took the Best Song, with Golden becoming the first K-pop song to win an Oscar in the Best Animated Film. Writer-director Maggie Kang noted, "For those of you who look like me, I'm so sorry that it took us so long to see us in a movie like this. But it's here, and that means that the next generations don't have to go longing. This is for Korea and for Koreans everywhere." And for every bit that didn't land, Anna Wintour's co-presenting 2 awards with Anne Hathaway inadvertently reminded us that it's better to have actors doing these gigs. There was something else that delighted. 2 show-stopping musical performances from singers in K-pop Demon Hunters held the audience rapt, though boo to the decisions to have viewers scan a QR code to hear the other nominated songs. The cast of Bridesmaid, reunited for the film's 15th anniversary, contributed some funny bits, poking fun at Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and themselves. Presenter Kamal Nanjiani smoothly handled a very rare Oscar tie in a live-action short film category, something that's only happened 6 times before. The first woman to win an Oscar for cinematography, Autumn Durand-Arkapaw for Sinners, asked that all women in the room stand up because I feel like I don't get here without you guys. And for the brand new category of Best Casting, members of their cast introduced each nominee, which meant Chase Infinity of One Battle After Another got a very big audience before which to thank casting director Cassandra Kukulandis, who gave her first film acting night. The night wasn't without political expression. Pavel Telenkin, the subject and co-director of the winning documentary Mr. Nobody Against Putin, spoke passionately against war. The makers of the winning short documentary All the Empty Rooms, about children lost to gun violence, were joined by Gloria Cesares, mothers of a child killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, who told the audience, "If the world could see their empty bedrooms, we'd be a different America." Presenter Javier Bardem dropped a Free Palestine before presenting the international film feature, and Jimmy Kimmel, presenting the documentary films, noted that there are some countries that don't support free speech. Let's just leave it at North Korea and CBS. And while O'Brien's monologues occasionally touched on political differences, he also took time to emphasize unity, noting that the Oscars are particularly resonant during difficult times. The nominees, he noted, represented 31 different countries, and we pay tribute tonight not just to film, but the ideas of global artistry, collaborations, patience, resilience, and that rarest of qualities today, optimism. A worthy message anytime. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Moving on to the sports section, Kishwa falls to defending NYSPHSAA champs Frewsburg in the C Regional. For the second straight year, it was the Kishawa Wildcats and Frewsburg Bears and the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Class C Far West Regional, and the result ended similarly this time around, with the defending champions claiming a 57-43 win. The story of the night was Jaden Trockey, who poured in 37 points for the Section 6 champions. That, coupled with a slow start from Kashigwa, made the margin too much to overcome down the stretch. The Final Four. It was a back-and-forth battle all night when Section 5 Class D champion Notre Dame met Section 6 champion Sherman for the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Far West Regional on Saturday. Behind another great performance from Sophia Folletti, the Irish marched to a 47-40 victory. Flag Party celebrates the open pace win at Batavia. Flag Party, paid $9.84, was able to celebrate on Saturday afternoon at Buffalo Raceway by winning a three-way photo in the 15,500 open pace. He nipped better than spring by a nose, while the pace-setting Lanjo Lee finished just a narrow head behind in 1 minute 56.3 seconds. Other sports new. Kishakwa's Cartwright signs to wrestle at Felician College. Kishakwa's Olivia Cartwright is taking her wrestling skills to the collegiate level. A star for the and I'm sorry if I say this wrong, Kishawa Fillmore wrestling team, Cartwright signed her commitment to Division II Felician University in Rutherford, New Jersey on Friday. Moving on, when it comes to starting pitching, Yankees' future looks bright. This article is by Bill Madden. It remains to be seen if Ryan Weathers, the hard-throwing lefty the New York Yankees acquired over the winter, is going to be the rotation find that they envision after surrendering 4 prospects to the Miami Marlins for him. Another rough outing against the Braves on Friday ballooned Weathers' spring ERA to 8.68 for 3 starts, which is about the only not-so-good news out of Yankee camp this spring. The 2026 mock draft. What happens after the Raider picks at number 1 by Adam Hill. Opening week of free agency very likely had a significant impact on the draft. Some teams were able to address needs before needing to use the selection, while others made trades to acquire extra picks. Then there were the Raiders, who thought they had an extra first-round pick only for the Ravens to forget the playground laws of no takebacks. The dust still hasn't settled, but enough has happened to take a look at our first post-combine mock draft. Number 1 in the draft, the Raiders probably will take Fernando Mendoza. Number 2, the Jets probably will take David Bailey. He's the edge out of Texas Tech. And so on and so forth. And our last article comes from the Farm and Garden section. Grow history in the garden. For the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, consider planting like a founding father. This is written by Jan Beglinger. This year on July 4th, the United States celebrates the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Do you have plans to use a red, white, and blue theme in your garden this year? That will probably be a popular container garden theme for annuals. Or maybe you're interested in planting a taste of history. If you need some inspiration, you can look on the Mount Vernon or Monticello website to see what plants and vegetables George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were growing. You can also check out heirloom plant catalogs for ideas and order seeds. Here are a few vegetables that would have been grown around that time to get you started. Thomas Jefferson grew 15 different types of English peas. He staggered their planting so he could have fresh peas from mid-May to the middle of July. One variety he grew was Prussian blue. Developed in Germany, it was widely grown in colonial America, and it was suited to the climate. A late-season shelling pea, it can be eaten fresh. It was more commonly dried and used for soup. If you want soup peas, leave the pods on the vine to dry. The peas are smooth and blue-green in color. The blue-podded Capuciner peas is another variety that he grew, thought to be grown by the Capuchin monks as far back as the Middle Ages. Dual purposes, it can be used for fresh shelling, sugar peas, or leave the pods on the vines to fill out for winter soups. The pea pods are dark inky purple. The tennis ball lettuce is a bib or butterhead type forming loose heads 4 to 6 inches across of pale green leaves with a yellow-green center. To harvest, use a sharp knife to cut them at the base when they reach the desired size. These are good for salads, and they were often pickled in salt brine during the 17th and 18th century. Tennis ball lettuce was grown by Thomas Jefferson, who noted it does not require so much care and attention as other types. The buttery, smooth leaves are slightly sweet, and it has 55 days to maturity. Spotted Aleppo Syrian lettuce is an heirloom romaine type. The leaves are beautiful green with bright reddish-brown speckles. Originating in Syria, records indicate that it was introduced into Europe sometime in the late 1600s. The long, narrow leaves were used to scoop hummus. The bull-nosed pepper is a sweet pepper whose fruits are a bit smaller at 3 to 4 inches than bell peppers today. It was probably introduced in America in the early 1700s. Peppers have thick walls and are said to be sweet, mild, and delicious. Fruits ripen from dark green to red and are susceptible to sun-scaled. Expect to harvest the fruit 60 to 85 days from transplant. Boston marrow was first documented in the U.S. in 1831, but its history is probably much earlier. This variety has a connection to the Buffalo area, and some think that the seeds originally came from the Iroquois. Others think that it originated in Chile before making its way to the United States. It is one of the most important commercial squashes for 150 years. A bright red-orange Hubbard squared fruit, they can weigh 10 to 50 pounds, with 25 pounds being average. The tender yellow-orange meaty flesh has a rich, sweet flavor. An excellent eating squash, they're also good for pies. A good keeper can be stored in dry, moderate warm weather. Connecticut field pumpkin is an old heirloom variety. Cultivated by Native Americans, it was grown by the early colonists. Preserved for generations of seed savers, it's still considered to be the standard Halloween pumpkin for jack-o'-lanterns. Other vegetables commonly grown include beets, cabbage, bush beans, carrots, Swiss chard, kale, corn, turnips, leeks, onions, and rutabagas. Vegetables were often picked for their ability to be dried, pickled, or stored in root cellars. Herbs were usually grown mixed in with the vegetables, but not in gardens on their own. Herbs have many uses. The next garden talk is scheduled for noon, April 2nd, and the topic will be creating a cut flower garden. The program is free, and people can attend in person at the CC office or via online at Zoom. To register, please call the CC office at 585-343-3040, extension 101. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the March 17th issue of the Batavia Daily News. We read from the Batavia Daily News every Saturday at 9 a.m. Your reader has been Debbie. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the East Aurora Advertiser. At 11 o'clock, we have the Niagara Gazette. And at noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555. 5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes